We're allowed to film this, and the police chief's like, get out of my town or I'm going to find something to do to you. They were practicing going door to door taking guns. They had the kids going in the houses, and the parents were involved in this to help the kids identify guns. And since then, we've learned it is for America. Arcadia, Iowa, 2 years ago, we have other examples. You understand how mega... You know when I really woke up? 13 years ago, starting to go to urban warfare drills, and when you get there and the emergency manager of Kingsville shows up and says, Thomas Sanchez, who's a Vietnam veteran and everything, and says, yeah, the feds approached me about doing this martial law drill for gun confiscation and to train us to accept military occupation. Then he goes, I want you to talk to the San Antonio police chief. I go to the San Antonio police chief. He says, I'm an Army veteran myself, and this is to acclimate us for takeover, and it's wrong. I have it all on tape. Police State 2000. Then I go to urban warfare drills, and they in Oakland, and the Marines are training to take over cities, and the role players are saying they're Americans, and it's for America. They didn't even hide this from me. Well, that's not true. Stephen Jones, I think was his name, was the former Marine who was their civilian spokesman, and he would always catch me in one area and say, you're not allowed to be here. You can't see this. Get out of here. You can't see this interrogation. All I did was they had local citizen tours of the area they cordoned off in the city. And I would, I just had locals, listeners who showed up as I was doing the radio show from there over a phone, who showed up. I would send them in to act stupid. I'd say, act real dumb and ask real stupid questions. And they got the hardcore footage that's in Police State 2000. So, of course, when I'm witnessing the military trying to take us on, and then I get back to my hotel that night at like midnight, and I'm watching CNN who'd been there, and they're like, oh, the Marines landed in Oakland yesterday, and they're just training for operations in Macedonia and in Kosovo. And I'd been there. I had footage. I was like, they were training for America. And then you know this information. You want to warn people. You want to tell people. And you get made fun of. You get laughed at. I remember that a year later, I walk up to a huge I-35 Austin checkpoint that they'd set up as a test. Highway was shut down all the way to Georgetown, 30 miles north. Completely shut down, going about 2 miles an hour. And I pull up, I get out, I go to the checkpoint, all these big lights. They got a DUI thing. They're pulling people out of cars. And I walk over, and the cops are like, get back, Jones. And I'm about, 60 yards away. They're like, what, are the Serbs going to get us? The foreign troops are going to get me. And the cops are all, ha, 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 ha. Here they are running a checkpoint, totally unconstitutional. And they'd all, I guess, heard my show or seen it, the TV show. And I had the commanders and people all standing about 50 yards away, just rolling, slap each other on the back. It's all on tape. Ah, it's that crazy guy. He's the one that thinks there's going to be a police state. And I'm like, I know you think it's funny, but it's not. Then I walk over another police car in the dark, and these guys were obviously completely stoned out of their minds. Could smell the marijuana. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do? And they're like, we're going to follow our orders. It's so horrible. And I told you that right along with all of this would be having your money stolen. All right, here's the deal. I'm going to take calls for the rest of the hour before Sheriff Mack's on with us. The toll-free number on all these issues I've raised, 800-259-9231. You know what? Before I take everybody's calls, because the first 5 or 6, I want to hear from police and military currently serving. It's done. Obama says he's going to sign it. After acting like he wouldn't, that was to kill opposition. Don't worry, you're not in the bill. Okay, you found out citizens are in the bill. Don't worry, Obama's not going to sign it. They've got all these little tactics. Now Obama's like, you bet I'm going to sign it because I had it put in there. I want to hear from police and military, 800-259-9231. And if we take 4 or 5 of your calls, then I'll get to everybody else's after that first group. But again, when I have to look at Holder, I have to look at Obama, I have to look at Hillary, I have to look at Senator Graham, all these leaders. I mean, these are crooks. These are dangerous, evil people. These are tyrants. These are traitors. This is treason against our Bill of Rights, against our Constitution. And it's not enough now to warrantlessly spy on us and have checkpoints and do all of this and waive all the laws for the illegals. That's all bad enough. This is now the heart of it. This is striking directly. And the whole world, it's all over the news worldwide. Americans to be secretly arrested. America is falling into a police state. Major universities are now saying we're the #3 police state in the world. We were #6 just 2 years ago. The whole world is freaking out. The whole world is scared. The communist Chinese that do stuff like this are announcing they may have war with the United States because everybody knows America was taken over by evil. And there's still talk radio, but most of those guys are there supporting the Republican Party that loves all this. I mean, I heard Neil Wartz yesterday supporting Newt Gingrich, saying he's a great guy. I mean, open borders, Obamacare, carbon taxes, working for the healthcare industry to pass the government healthcare takeover. And that's your mainline, quote, libertarian endorsing Newt Gingrich. That's why we're in so much trouble.
Did you know nuclear radiation is...
Okay, coming up, we got Sheriff Richard Mack joining us. Also, they're going to have 13,500 troops to provide Olympic security. The BBC is reporting that when they had the event over in Europe. Again, everywhere they are using the military now. They're just acclimating the citizens so they can use the military against you. Let's go to Eric, who's a police officer in Illinois, then Mike, who's military in Colorado, Elaine, who's a police officer in Pennsylvania. Let's get your take on all this right now. Eric, what do you think of the government getting rid of the heart of the Bill of Rights on Bill of Rights Day 200-plus years later, Eric?
I think it's a complete travesty. It's amazing what's going on in this country.
What is your overall view on it? Where do you think the nation's going? What do your fellow police officers think?
Well, most of them are completely entranced in the system that, the media. They fall right into the left-right, Republican, Democrat propaganda machine. I can tell you that the majority of officers are good people with families and kids, and they want to do the right thing, and they got into the profession to help people. But if this were enacted right now, I can tell you that the officers would not go along with it. However, I've been studying the New World Order system for several years now, and they're going to be staging terrorist attacks within the country or the economic implosion. And if you have complete chaos, the police, the numbers alone, my department, we're about a city of about 200,000. We have about 250 sworn officers. We don't have near the manpower that could even deal with any type of mass chaos.
No, exactly. They're setting it up where the military will be needed. And again, then the precedent set. So the first 10, 15 times the troops are used, they're going to actually maintain order. Then the precedent set, we're just here to arrest the troublemakers now, so this doesn't happen again. And the public's like, yay! I've even got internal training videos that I played clips of that we're going to air more in the future, where they set everybody up for this. But you're absolutely right. When you call it the New World Order system, Eric, that's what it is. It's a global system of manipulation. But because of you and others out there, once people see the system, they're going to be aware of it.
Doing, the guys on my shift, I'm constantly, talking in their ear, and I've made them aware of it. I got most of them, are going to be supporting and voting for Ron Paul. But there's some that you just can't change their mind, and they won't even, hear it or look at the evidence that you try to present to them.
Eric, you said you've been awake for a few years. In that time, other police have called us and talked about how they got made fun of at first, and military too, but later, as the stuff comes true, they go from being called tinfoil hats to, Nostradamus. Have you seen something similar like that?
Yeah, I mean, you still get the laughs and all, it's conspiracy, and they cannot believe that something like this can go on, because they believe that something this big, people would talk, people would come out, and but unfortunately, like you say, you've planted the seeds, and then when the collapse happens and the hits the fan, that's when they will wake up and realize, man, this really is going on.
We're going to go to break in the long segment, come back with others, but just briefly, What do you make of the lies within lies within lies, where first they say citizens aren't in the secret arrest, indefinite detention bill when they're clearly there. Then they say Obama's against it, don't worry, he's going to veto. And I'm like, nope, that's to make people stand down and not fight the bill. And then sure enough, he does it. I mean, for the general public, they're totally flummoxed by it. It's like, ACLU shocked. But when you're aware of it, you know the next play. That's what's so frustrating. I know exactly what they're going to do. I told everybody again, and it's not because I'm smart. It's frustrating, Eric. I know exactly what they're going to do because I know their playbook. It's so frustrating.
Oh, I completely agree. It's completely frustrating, and because the problem is they hear the snippets on the nightly news or on the radio talk shows, but they never read the bills. They never look at the in depth what it actually says. They hear the mantra that's put out in the media system, and that's what they believe. And everybody's busy with their own between work and their own lives and doing what they do, and they don't. You're right.
You're right. We've got to make time to learn reality, or we're going to be doomed. Those that don't know history are doomed to repeat it. The people perish for lack of knowledge. I appreciate your call. Again, I've been monitoring neocon, mainline, fake conservative, rhino radio, and if we can't shoot down politically Newt Gingrich in these primaries, he will end up, if he runs against Obama, he wins. Because once they have Obama, who's hated by conservatives, against Gingrich, they'll back Gingrich, not knowing Gingrich is actually votes exactly the same. That's what's scary. I mean, Gingrich is an actual globalist. He's even higher level than Obama. I mean, he's one of the insiders. And to hear Neil Boortz endorsing him, man, that's traitorous.
We're on the march.
The only way to stop tyranny is to learn to recognize it and stand up against it. All right, we're going to go to Mike, who's in the military, Elaine, who's a police officer, and Colonel Six, and many others that are holding Rudy, Clarence. We're going to get to all of you right now. If you just joined us, the House last night, by a large majority, 283 to 136, voted for the National Defense Authorization Act, and Obama now says he's going to sign it. Oh, what a big surprise that is. Meanwhile, Big Sis, that's Miss Napolitano, Big Sis orders ICE to prepare for mass influx of immigrants. Directive follows leaked KBR memo requesting subcontractors to serve as detention camps, which is confirmed and no media will report on. Manning the camps. And I've had a state senator on from Texas last year. I'll get him back on. Which senator was that? He's one of the senior ones. I forget his name right now. Saying, oh, there's a secret martial law plan in Texas for the implosion of Mexico. And then I guess if another 10 million people pour across as refugees, they instantly can vote and get free welfare. I mean, that's what the government's promoting. I mean, there's just no end to it. Right now, let's go ahead and talk to Elaine, who's a police officer in Pennsylvania, and then we'll go to Mike and others. Elaine, welcome.
Thank you, Alex, for taking my call. First of all, sir, I would like to thank you for the work you do. God bless you, your family, and your staff. I pray that he protects you. And I am appalled. I am totally appalled. I have been posting all of your videos. I have been talking nonstop on Facebook regarding these issues, and I have gotten probably 3 positive comments in the past 7 months. They're calling me crazy at work, but it doesn't deter me. I continue to post what
cordoned off in the city. And I would, I just had local listeners who showed up because I was doing the radio show from there over a phone who showed up. I would send them in to act stupid. I'd say, act real dumb and ask real stupid questions. And they got the hardcore footage that's in Police State 2000. We're allowed to film this, and the police chief's like, get out of my town or I'm going to find something to do to you. They were practicing going door to door taking guns. They had the kids going in the houses, and the parents were involved in this to help the kids identify guns. And since then, we've learned it is for America. Arcadia, Iowa, 2 years ago, we have other examples. You understand how mega... You know when I really woke up? 13 years ago, starting to go to urban warfare drills, and when you get there and the emergency manager of Kingsville shows up and says, Thomas Sanchez, who's a Vietnam veteran and everything, and says, yeah, the feds approached me about doing this martial law drill for gun confiscation and to train us to accept military occupation. It's for America. They didn't even hide this from me. Well, that's not true. Stephen Jones, I think was his name, was the former Marine who was their civilian spokesman. And he would always catch me in one area and say, you're not allowed to be here. You can't see this. Get out of here. You can't see this interrogation. All I did was they had local citizen tours of the area they... Then he goes, I want you to talk to the San Antonio police chief. I go to the San Antonio police chief. He says, I'm an Army veteran myself, and this is to acclimate us for takeover, and it's wrong. I have it all on tape. Police State 2000. Then I go to urban warfare drills, and they in Oakland, and the Marines are training to take over cities, and the role players are saying they're Americans. And that